And we're back. Why morning monologue? Spent the last week and a half in San Francisco fundraising for LSD. Had some good in-person conversations, but it really just feels so nice to be back home in New York and ready to go, really, is where I'm at. There's just so much to be done, and it's difficult to move fast when you're on the road, moving around, don't have a bed, so on and so on. So we're back, tapped in, locked in, and really just excited. I walked Paco this morning, woke up after I don't know how many weeks of not getting a good night's sleep, but still excited just to do it. Be outdoors, get back into a routine. Here I'm at Versi recording my monologue again, something that I miss doing. And really the excitement's coming in, but the realization of where I am and who I am is taking some time to process internally. It really is. Almost everything that I dreamed of is now possible thanks to the team, thanks to Yev and Pranav, thanks to what we're building. Really is just exciting. I guess just like big picture where we're at is we're still waiting for a lead. And I think a large part of that is because of how discombobulated our pitch has been. And part of that is a filtering mechanism, right? So the investors we're still talking to are the ones that can kind of piece together what we're doing. So by giving them this like scattered, highly technical pitch, you can filter the ones who wouldn't understand something like that out. And I guess the argument is that those wouldn't be the investors we're looking for at this early stage. The likeliest threat at the moment seems to be SPC. We're meeting on site here in New York on tomorrow. We went and interviewed in SF, so that was fun. Got to meet some of the team there. And at the very least, that'll guarantee that we get to that first milestone. While it might not be the glamorous round that we had hoped for, it is very solid nonetheless. Now that glamorous round is still on the table. The investors who are still around are still around. They're just all waiting for someone, I suppose, to take the first move. We're waiting on a few term sheets. That just seems to be the game, really. We do have some more conversations coming up in person, but honestly, I'm kind of relieved to not have so many taking up the entirety of my calendar. I can actually get to building, which is cool. And what is it that we're building? This won't launch for another year, but I guess I'll just explain it how I see it now, is that LSD is DSL backwards, domain-specific language. So basically what we're doing is providing the scaffolding for web data-driven applications. So essentially we're the broker for the data in the machine economy. So any agentic workflow that wants to build off the web, will provide them that data. Anyone who wants to start a blog that interacts with web data, right, other people's, blogs, for example, we'll be able to give them that data. We'll take what scraping pipelines do now. There's a lot of AI companies doing this. It basically is expensive, it's time consuming, and it's not deterministic. So that's actually one of the big flaws with the LLM. Screw it, why not? This won't launch for another year. I'll just explain where we're at. We're at the OpenAI is essentially at the center of this giant bubble. Everyone basically saw something that wasn't there. The transformer architecture is flawed. Nothing that it outputs can be mathematically verified. Terrence Tao said this in a talk. It's really good for things like image generation, creative tasks, or verifiable outputs such as code, right? So it gives you code, you put the code, you run it, and if it works, it works. If not, it doesn't, and you can go back, but that's verifiable. You'll know right then and there if it's true or not. But for a field like the law, right, legal matters, you can't have a transformer-based model writing up your documents because it'll just get things wrong, and that's just the nature of how the system is designed. So we provide the deterministic data. We give you the facts that you're looking for straight off the web. So these transformer-based scrapers, right, these AI scrapers are not 100% accurate. They're expensive, they're time-consuming, so on and so on. AI being Bear Stearns, we're in this huge bubble. We've had sky-high inflation. What is it, 80% of the US dollar in circulation was printed in the last 5 years. We're headed to this monsoon of a market crash. And I think that another reason we're struggling to raise is because people don't want to wake up to that fact. We're kind of the bearers of bad news in that regard. But we'll keep swimming, we'll keep plugging away. Market crash or not, we need to build, and so build we shall. Right now, it's an interesting game because my focus, my real value add to the team is in the consumer side of things, where I want to redefine the web browser. I want to build an experience that hasn't yet been created. A true bicycle for the mind, as Steve Jobs once said. As Steve Jobs said that the computer would be, and in many ways has proven to be, but the one frontier yet tapped seems to be the browser. The browser's been fairly stale for the last, 20 years, right? You make like little improvements here and there, sure, but all of the web pages are exactly the same and you browse them in exactly the same way. I want to build something more social, so I watch a lot of niche talks, read a lot of random things, and I can't share that information with my friends. They won't care, but there's other people out there on the internet who do care and who have read the same things and who have watched the same things, but I have no means of connecting with them. So just a social layer on top of the existing web, making the browser more collaborative in a sense. There's other avenues I want to take this, but big picture, that's generally it. So right now we have to focus on the B2B side of things because that's where the money is. Dev-sumer approach is one way we're phrasing it, right? We know that the tech we're building can be used for anything from law, as mentioned earlier, to pharma, finance, basically anything that needs like accurate information moved from one place to another on a computer. That's a problem we solve, which is pretty big, right? It's pretty big, but you can't take over the world in one step. It's baby steps. It's okay, what's the first domino to fall? What's the first industry? What's the first contract? So really focusing on fleshing out the tech for that. And in many ways, it'll support the consumer side. And the two actually will feed off each other in time. But for now, it's a matter of what's the milestone right in front of our face. And for a long time, it's been raising for a couple weeks now. It's been, okay, let's get some money in the bank account, which is fun. We say we don't like it in the moment, and it's tiring speaking to so many people and getting rejections maybe don't feel great, although I don't think any of us really care. I think we're very, how do I say this? We understand the value we provide, so if someone else doesn't see it, we don't let it affect us, I suppose you could say. We don't care. But the real frustration from this whole process has been that, well, we're a couple weeks behind where we could be if we had just built. We have learned quite a bit from these calls. We have actually refined what we're doing tremendously, which is valuable, right? This is by no means wasted time. It's all a part of this journey. But I get an inkling of a feeling that I'm gonna look back for the rest of my life on this period and think, wow, times sure were simple then. And especially the time leading into this, before I was working on LSD, just essentially exploring the world, exploring myself, learning, being a part of Versi. It's just all been an incredible experience. And as this grows, one that I may never have again. It's kind of a hard pill to swallow. It doesn't necessarily feel real. Maybe it just hasn't kicked in yet, but maybe it does, and I just don't care as much as I thought. I literally am spending 12 hours a day working on this, and it's really all I want to do. I wake up first thing in the morning thinking over conversations we had about LSD or ideas going through my head and so on. And I guess it's really just exciting to be here, to be in this new arena, one that I've wanted to be in for about a year now, more than a year now. It's one where I can conquer, and that's so exciting, not in a bad way, in a good way, right? By conquering, I'll have power to move the world in a meaningful way. Peter Thiel talks about how startups should aim to be a monopoly. And monopolies can be good, the same way Plato said the best form of leadership is an enlightened dictator, someone with power, with good intentions, with the ability to execute on those intentions is the best thing for the world. And now I get to play the game of getting there, of becoming that guy, essentially. And not to get overly philosophical or spiritual, but it really feels like I was destined for this. All of the ups and downs I've been through in my life, all of the things that I've done, for what other purpose was it other than to make me me and to put me here in the cockpit for this, well, let's just call it an idea for now, that holds the potential to redefine the way we do things, the way we operate. It just, the buzzword is the phase shift, right? Improved compute, improved networking have been phase shifts of the past. We've seen Apple, Microsoft for compute, Facebook, TikTok for networking. The phase shift we unlock is kind of on the other end of the spectrum, right? So all of these technologies of the past have left us with an abundance of information out there on the web, but a real challenge in accessing it and tapping into it and building with it. And so what we do is remove most, if not, you can never really say all, but all of the friction in getting and using the web in a way that you want. Really, the founder's journey is certainly full of ups and downs, like really high highs, really low lows, and when it all clicks in my head, I'm like, wow, like this is so cool, and I can't wait to do it, and oh, this is gonna be the best thing ever. And then you sit and you process it, and it's gone. Now it's built, right? And you get to building, and something breaks, and then it's the opposite. It's like, oh my God, nothing's gonna work. What is this? Of course, I know that it does all work, and I can't really explain why, but it does. And it's interesting how time works, right? It's this constant, although it's not constant, but the way we interact with it is that it kind of pushes us through our lives, whether we want it to or not. We have no say. Time goes on, and it's just doing with the time I have now what is necessary so that 10 years down the line, be living in the world that I want. Sometimes it feels almost passive, like that's the thing with time, is do we have control? Is free will really a thing? Or am I just acting as a direct consequence of the previous nanosecond, and all the way back to when I was born, when I didn't have much control? Well, and then me being born into the world I was a result of my parents going through a similar ordeal, right? And their life extends backwards in the same way to their parents' lives, and so on and so on, and you go all the way back to the beginning of time. And well, at what point does the free will come in? Well, I could say I have the power to just stop recording this now and go run around the streets naked. Yeah, I do, but do I? Like, would I do that ever? No. So is that really a possibility? No. The only possibility that exists is the one that's happening. This is the only true existence. This is what is happening with the time that we all share. And you guys are all out there in some who knows where, right? The whole world exists around me in this exact moment, going through the same time I am. I just am choosing to use that time to record something so that 1 year from now I can look back and say, wow, what an interesting time that was. And the choice to do this, yeah, is mine, and yeah, I want to, but then you ask yourself this: why do you want to? Well, I guess you could say I want to make this to tell my story. Okay, why do I want to share my story? So other people know about my story. Well, why do I want others to know about my story? Because I think it's worth sharing. I think what I'm doing is cool. Well, why do you think it's cool, right? And the more whys you ask, the more layers you peel back, and you can really get at the true essence of something. And I think that question really does lead back to the beginning. It's interesting, to say the least. There is a large degree of uncertainty in what there is and what there is to do, and that I have no idea how to best spend my time. It's Labor Day weekend, but I'm here working. Where the heck else would I be? Do I have control over that? I want to be here. Why do I want to be here? Because I want to build something. Why do I want to build something? Maybe it's because when I was a little kid, I felt powerless to a certain extent, right? Unheard. Well, why was that the case? Go on forever. Rather than ramble on for the next 20 minutes, I'm going to cut it. I'll hope to be back tomorrow, check back in, get back into the swing of things, and really just make the most of my existence. I look forward to watching this a year from now. I hope that others do as well. And with that, I tap out.